Hi, it's Etharal here, and we're back with our Crusader Kings 2 Warhammer mod, Geheimschmidt. I'm still going to be pronouncing that name wrong, but we have been playing as the Emperor Baldwin Scinstair of Midland here, just having a bit of a look at our son, who is now married, does have a daughter, so he will be able to continue the family generations further along. However, would like to try and get him a son so that we could continue it as father to son, going down the line and steadily increasing. Since the last episode, have skipped ahead a little bit of time. You can see we did manage to declare war on Ostland at the end of the last episode, and we have since beaten them pretty much to a pulp. They are now, could not really call themselves any form of actual kingdom, but they still have the technical title of an Emperor of Ostland. That's something that we're going to have to resolve in coming episodes, I think, and crush them and bring all of Ostland under the control of Midland, which we have been ruling. So we are seeing our lands increasing steadily. Here, just been having a look at some extra people that I can declare war on. I'm starting to think that Norland up in the north is going to be a good way to go. I think Baldwin is looking to expand, and he is a bit of a picky sort of guy, would like to have all of his land as one big chunk. So rather than having this big chunk of land and then this one little splinter bit of 3 counties, he does decide, you know what, we're going to attack Norland, and we're going to prove to them that they need to give some of their land to us, and therefore begin to unify all of Midland so that you could literally walk from one end of it to the other without needing to cross over any international borders, sort of thing. At least that's my reason behind it. That's what I'd like to think that he is trying to do. Now, this is pre-recorded, this game, as many of you will know. One thing I will just mention that you will start to see coming up in a minute is that this is actually the first time that I have counted any crashes. I did get 2 crashes in this game. I do believe it may have been because of the fact for one of my newer series that I've been doing, I've been having to switch between builds and for the betas. So this is the 2.4.5, whereas the other one is 2.5.2, I believe, and I think that may have caused some issues with the files, which has caused it to crash a little bit. So I will just mention, if it does skip at all, do apologise for that. It's nothing to worry about. It is literally just because of that, and I've gone back to the beginning of the year and taken it from there. But here you can see we are going forward. We have managed to assemble all of our army, bring a rather large force all together, over 7,000 men that we now control. Well, we did decide to put about 500 guys back away, but that is still, 800 men that Baldwin Scinstair here has actually managed to, bring together. 8,000 who are able to, move into this force and really attack the Nordlands. We have checked as well, their allies, they only had us that they were able to bring into the war, so we are going to crush them pretty easily. It's more going to be a long, drawn-out, slow slog more than anything, which is something that I can deal with and is expected really in a war. We've managed to, bring all of our forces together, so we are just sort of hitting them a little bit all over the place, and we are not going to try and attack the lands that we are actually aiming for, which is a iffy sort of goal, but we're going to mainly focus on his capital, trying to take them down. When we do receive word that our wife, who is not such a nice woman, I will get to that in a minute, as we have discovered, as we did believe in the last episode, she seems to have been being a little bit unfaithful, shall we say, but it would seem that she has brought us into another one of her wars. She is desperately trying to expand the lands of Reikland further, which is perfectly acceptable for her to want to do. We have absolutely no problems with her wanting to do that. However, Baldwin isn't such a fan of the fact that she seems to be being unfaithful and then still trying to bring me into more of her wars, which not brilliant, and she's now beginning to feel a problem with that, as this new guy is turning around and is going to basically beat her to a pulp. He can raise a far larger army than she can. That's why she's brought us into this force, to try and nullify him, I believe, although that is not something that we're really all that worried about. We're just going to let her carry on with this. We've got more important lands at the minute. We've got more important goals here. You can see she's got, 12,000 strong army inside of her main capital. That's not something that Baldwin is going to risk his expansions of his direct lands by helping out with that in a battle that he knows he would ultimately lose. He knows he cannot compete with that level of force. It's just not doable. He's not even going to try. he's unfortunately going to have to leave that to her. She's decided to overreach, and so be it. She should have waited. We could have brought that in when all of Reikland and Middenland was assembled. We could have brought all that together and then used all of that might to be able to take that land at a later date. She's decided to be greedy, so, you know, let her carry on with that one, basically. That's been Baldwin's plan with this. Here, just going through, looking through a little bit more about some of our family here. We're starting to see people, one thing that I do like of people who are, you know, we've never seen these people before. I like to think that the Scinstair family is now expanded to the point of, because there are second cousins and things like that, there's such a distant family that there'll be Scinstairs around, but Scinstairs that you've never met that aren't even close to the main branch of the family, which would be Baldwin and then his son Peter, and then their children from that. That is the current main branch that will obviously split into smaller splinter branches along the way as the family does continue to grow and go from strength to strength. Here, so you can just see that we are managing to crush them. We have got a very nice war score. We are steadily managed to attack them. We've managed to actually take their main capital, their capital castle, for the whole of Nordland. So we are in a really good position. They have no armies to be able to threaten us anymore. We are literally just going to continue on trying to crush into them and steadily grinding them down piece by piece. We do have support, weirdly, from the Bretonnians, which I think is very strange, given that while we have agreed to, you know, rule, sort of help them in their various wars, we've never actually contributed many men. And here I've just seen something that was a problem, and our actual wife, being not such a happy person, I think since we've outed her as being an adulteress and everything, she has actually turned it to Reikland to become a elector count state. So it's a case that the Scinstair family is not any longer going to be able to claim the lands that they had originally hoped that they were going to get, being able to double our lands with the inclusion of all of Reikland. She has managed to move some stuff around and get it so that it's going to remain within her direct family. That's not what we want, not something we are thrilled about, but we'll deal with that when it comes to it. Our, you know, wife has been less than faithful. She's used us, I suspect, to catapult herself further than, and also be able to basically use us to be able to help win her own wars and help defend her as she did hope, although she's overreached now, so she is regretting that a bit, but she's managed to do it where she's actually trying to sort of take the lands that are rightfully Peter's. Sorry, yes, Peter, no, yeah, that is right, and Peter's away from him, which, you know what, we're going to let her do. It's fine. If she wants to do that, you know what, we'll deal with that one. It's not brilliant, but we will still have claims on those lands. Baldwin Scinstair have received word of this. He's doubling down this. He is going to make sure that his family rules the empire and is the actual empire of the whole empire, not just one of the elector count states or multiple states. He is going to take that main throne. That is his goal. That is the family goal. That's not going to change. He's probably a little bit annoyed by her, but you know what? That's something he can deal with at a later date. He'll just have to accept that, basically, unfortunately. And so here, my wife now has died. She's passed on her throne to her sister, I believe it was. So here we are going to go, right, fine, she's gone. You know what? Midland is going to look instead at trying to find some other allies, and that way sort of show it that, first of all, he is going to arrange a marriage with somebody, though, in the same family as his wife. Basically, they are the second most powerful people, really. So we want to be keeping them as an ally. We want to keep them happy until we are ready to turn on them. It's going to be a case of, it's going to be a while until we turn on them. I think they're going to be our last target, Reikland, but they are still going to, regardless, be a target. But that one won't be taking place just yet. That'll be happening in the future. So for now, going to marry them, make sure we keep alliances with them, keep them happy. Know that way, if we do get into an issue with any wars, she will still support us. Now here, going back over up to Nordland that we've been following quite closely here, it is a case that because we haven't actually claimed any land in the county that we are going for, they are still, you know, we're actually starting to lose war score, basically, because of the simple fact that we don't have the lands that we actually want to have. Although, regardless, because of taking pretty much all of their capital, they do eventually collapse, and so we've managed to bring this land into our control. Now, we do want to bring these people over to our religion and begin converting them as soon as we possibly can. Unfortunately, because we were at war with having been brought in by our wife, we cannot do that. We cannot demand religious conversion during a time of war, which is a bit of a shame, but could be a lot worse. We will, deal with that at a later date. We are then going to also as well later on have to usurp the title and try and bring that all under our control a little bit further, just sort of streamline all of that. As our vassals, they are steadily increasing. We're up to 18 out of 39, so we've still got a fair way to grow, but if we can try and keep things as condensed as possible and basically mainly focus on having actual dukes rather than lords as our direct vassals, and then let them have the lords, that'll allow us to actually be able to increase our stability in our land, gives us less focus. We can just try and keep these guys obviously as weak as possible. There is an advantage that has happened in that the guy who was originally the family who were the eastern superpower of the Midland, if you remember from a few episodes ago, it does seem that the leader of them has died and has actually split the land between his two sons. So we've seen a drastic reduce in the power of the various dukes. There was a duke that could have threatened us, although he is now gone, which is a very good thing, and it means that we can instead focus more on expansion externally rather than having to deal quite so much with issues from home, which Baldwin was in a fair few states of a bit of worry with factions and such when he was at a younger age, although no longer. He is now very confident in his rule. He has proven himself. He's managed to survive through his early reign and really prove himself, and having started early reign from a young age, he is now in a position where he's going to be able to hopefully last for a fair good years. I mean, he's in his 40s now. He's probably got a good 10-15 years of rule left on him to really be able to consolidate his power, and having consolidated his power, really begin to expand. We're hoping to get at least another 2 wars, I'd say, in Nordland, and maybe be able to take out all of their lands, or if not all, effectively all, and maybe even another war or 2 with Ostland, and that would bring all of that northern area of the Empire under the control of Midland to then be able to look at expanding further. I think after that I'm going to go west before heading east, as south, as south is a lot more solidified. There is a lot of very strong people in the south that we don't want to go up just yet without having the allies to be able to back ourselves up, although to the west of ourselves we are seeing the Weissenland is very fragmented and is a smaller land, so that is something that I believe we could probably look at actually bringing it more into the fold of Midland in the more immediate episodes. I think that is going to be a very good focus for us, which will have some advantages of expanding our lands, unifying a lot more, and bringing a lot more of the Empire under the control, which is always a good thing. Although one thing we will have to be careful of if we do decide to do that is that in the far west, down by Bretonnia, as we are aware, the Bretonians are currently fighting a losing battle against a goblin and orc war boss and horde, so they are somebody that we are going to have to watch out, because if we take Weissenland and they finally manage to finish off Bretonnia, we are going to be that border. Basically, we're going to have the next big target on our heads. But coming back to the game itself, we've decided to declare war on this count, who was an independent count defending a small pass between the middle mountains. This, not really so much of a threat, it's more of just to grab a little bit of land and try and consolidate a bit more power for when we do decide to move into the rest of Ostland. It's more than anything just going to be an annoyance that is just going to deal with this problem before it does become an issue. We could very easily ignore this and begin to expand, but Baldwin does believe, this guy, he is a count, he is completely isolated by himself, he could bring benefit to our lands, we can benefit him, as he's by himself at the minute. He could very easily be swallowed up, as he is about to have happen to him, although we want to swallow him up before somebody else does. There are others around him who that would be a considerable extra county, given how small the other kingdoms around him are. That would be an considerable influx to their lands. To us, it'll be barely noticeable, but it prevents an enemy from getting something that would be noticeable for them, which always a good balance to get out. And as we do move our armies in there, Baldwin does hear reports of the big problem of why this land has probably managed to remain independent, in that it quite simply cannot support large forces. Because they have a decent castle in there, you cannot get more than 3,000 men in that land before you're going to start suffering attrition. That is an ideal situation to be defending in that land, so that is why I think it has managed to remain as a count for so long. But still, we're just going to batter that door, keep going at it, because we have still such a large army, we can do that with reasonable success. That one, not really something we're going to focus on too much because it's, you know, it blows away very easily. He doesn't really stand a chance. That one is more of a waiting game. It's actually more starvation that was more of a risk in this war than the actual Count himself. He's stuck inside. He's got no way to raise new forces. He is done. It's literally just a waiting game. Although it's going to take an increasingly long amount of time, and one thing Baldwin does decide to do is he decides to leave a good few thousand men back. Reason being for that is that way, if it does become a case that, you know, these guys are getting too low down and they have suffered too much attrition, we can still get that influx of an extra few thousand guys to be able to bring our numbers back up and therefore continue on with the siege, hopefully uninterrupted. At least that is the goal for that one. And then the following goals after that, I believe we will begin to see the truce with Osterland end, so we will expand further into those in the coming episodes, possibly between now and the next episode. I'll see how everything goes with that one. If you do have any suggestions of what you'd like to see, do be sure to leave me a comment. I'll be more than happy to take any ideas of where you think you'd like me to go with this Let's Play. So I will pretty much leave it there for today, so thank you very much for watching. I've been Etharal here at EGN. Do be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and that way you can get all your notifications for when I'm putting out new videos. So thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time here at EGN.